All right, as mentioned, we of course are joined by political analysts to discuss the goings-on in the Gauteng province and of course the changes in leadership, and we're joined via Zoom by Dr Levy Ndou to weigh in on those developments and of course on the coalitions in the city of Johannesburg that have seen an election of a new mayor, Dada Morero. A very good afternoon to you, Dr Ndou. It's always a pleasure to have you on our show. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon to you, Flo. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Ndou, let's start then by talking about, your point of view or your analysis rather on the goings-on in the Gauteng province and, of course, the JHB council from where you stand.
Well, Flo, there is a trend in South African politics, and especially at local government level, where we are being governed by coalitions. The trend is that coalitions in South Africa are characterized by instability, they are characterized by infighting, and they are not grounded on a solid, or they are not built on a solid ground. And what is happening in the city of Johannesburg is what has been going on, or what has happened in Nelson Mandela Bay. It has also happened in a number of other municipalities in South Africa, because our leaders, when they go to local government and running coalitions, they focus on positions in a coalition. They focus on ensuring that they occupy senior positions, and equally, those that are not in coalitions would be trying their best at all times to convince those that are in a coalition to get out of a coalition. So those developments in the city of Johannesburg are not unique to the politics of coalitions in South Africa. There is instability in Johannesburg. It is the case in Nelson Mandela Bay. It is the case in the city of Tshwane, and we're still going to see more of this happening in many other councils.
Yeah. The reality of the situation, though, Dr. Ndou, is that it does seem as though coalitions aren't working, but we keep hearing, political pundits saying that, coalitions are the future. This is what to expect. If this is what to expect, are we then to expect something that simply isn't working? I mean, we've seen the collapse of coalitions, exactly what we're seeing here, where they can't find middle ground. How can we then say that this is the future? It's a future that's really not working.
Maybe we need to look at the main challenges or the main causes of instability in coalitions. The first one is that local councillors are not entirely involved in the negotiations of coalition arrangements. It is mainly the political elite at head office who will then instruct local councillors on who they should enter into a coalition with, or whom they should enter into a coalition. So most people in these councils go onto a coalition not knowing what to do, because they get instructions from their leaders. Number two, the voters on the ground are not involved in terms of knowing the dynamics and all the integrities involved in this coalition. So the votes of the voters are being taken and thrown around by politicians.
Yeah.
Another challenge that we see with coalitions is that our politicians, when they get into councils, they fight over positions and forget about service delivery.
Yeah.
And if such issues are not being properly addressed, even though we keep saying that coalitions are the future, we might also be saying that we're heading for the future that is unstable. What, in my view, should happen is that local councillors should be given space to negotiate what they want at local level. They understand the dynamics where they stay, and they know the right people at council that they can enter into a coalition with, rather than being told what to do by their political elites who do not have a greater understanding of what is happening on the ground.
And I'm glad you mentioned the issue of the voters, which is obviously paramount. Let me just quote you. You said that the vote of the voters is sort of being thrown around by the politicians, and they are there just sort of fighting for positions. And that then puts the question then about what this means for the voter. I mean, you have a situation where the ANC is using these coalitions to sort of regain power that was lost from them, from the electorate. Where does that put the voter? Where does that put the electorate when so easily the power that the party that they might not have wanted is actually then back?
I think we need to look at the city of Johannesburg and not isolate it from other councils. Because what the ANC has done in the city of Johannesburg, it's exactly what the DA did in Nelson Mandela Bay few weeks ago. So those that are not in a coalition government would always be trying their best to ensure that the coalition government has to collapse. And whether we like it or not, it is the citizens that at the end of the day suffer, because the main programs of government occupy the backseat while politicians are busy fighting over positions. And as an ordinary voter, you don't know what is going to happen in the future, because your vote is being thrown around, taken from one place to the other without your own knowledge. What also has to happen is that it appears as if there is a general abuse of a motion of no confidence in our councils. And if these motions of no confidence are not being properly regulated, we're going to have motions and no motions of no confidence time and time again, and councils will be focusing on discussing these motions rather than focusing on issues that are meant to benefit ordinary citizens.
All right. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for your input, Sir Levy Ndou, political analyst and regular guest here for us on SA Today.